Buddy, welcome back. In this video, we are looking at the Week 5 NFL Final Look picks. Happy Friday. We have a 12-game main slate on Sunday that we will dive into, touching on the main plays that I'm looking at for this week. We also have a lot of injury news on this slate, so we could get even more value by the time Sunday comes around. But anyways, let's get into it. As always, if you enjoy the videos, hit the like button, subscribe. Really helps me out. You can follow me on Twitter at the DFS Process. Check out the website if you want to join us for Sunday. Link is in the description. And let's get it started with the quarterback position as always. So there's three at the top end that I like. These guys are above $6,900. Kyler Murray's in a tier of his own. Basically, our price tag is $8,000. The next highest price guy is Tom Brady at $74,000. So I still like Kyler Murray just given the rushing upside. I wouldn't play Tom Brady at that price tag this week. I'd rather go to the guys that give you some upside with the legs or go with the value quarterback. So I think Murray can light it up. His team is really solid. They are the only undefeated team right now. And even though he's a high price tag, that game has the highest total on the slate. It should be a high scoring game. Jalen Hurts against Carolina. He gets probably a little bit of a tougher test against Carolina's defense. The Cowboys kind of rolled all over that defense. So we'll see if they are actually as good as we think they are. But Hurts, with the legs that he gives you, also has a good shot to throw for a lot of yards if they trail in this game like he did last week. So I think he just gives you a lot of upside with the legs and with the passing. But I probably like Dak Prescott a little bit more. That offense is rolling. He has a very tasty matchup against his Giants defense, and we know Prescott hasn't really ran this year, but he does give you some upside. Maybe near the goal line can run it in with a bootleg or something like that. The mid-range, you have Justin Herbert against Cleveland. Herbert's looked awesome so far this year. This is a game that I think you can get both sides of, especially if some of these guys on the Chargers are underpriced, like Herbert. Keenan Allen is super inexpensive, so you can get to those two as a stack. Bring it back with probably a low-owned Odell Beckham after he hurt a lot of people last week. Sam Darnold, if you want to go on the other side of this Philly game, he's at home. He has 5 rushing touchdowns on the season through the first 4 weeks, so it's been insane with what Darnold has done with the legs. And also has a number one weapon to throw to. So you compare Darnold with DJ Moore, bring it back with like a Devonta Smith, and kind of build the rest of your team. And I think a lot of people will go with Trey Lance if he does draw the start. I really like him a lot. Good matchup against Arizona. You have a rookie quarterback making his first start, but this game has the highest total on the slate, and he has good weapons to throw to with Deebo Samuel. Hopefully Kittle gets more involved. He also gives you rushing upside, so you're getting a quarterback with upside to get you 4 to 10 points on the ground, plus whatever he does with the arm. And then Jacoby Brissett, if you wanted to go with the veteran quarterback, that's down here. He's going to have to throw a lot. No team has really taken a shot to run against this Tampa run defense, so you should see Brissett have to throw a little bit or throw a lot more than usual, and he can run a little bit as well. The running back plays at the top end, you have Derrick Henry against Jacksonville. This is a very tasty matchup. They already, A.J. Brown should be back for this one, but you still expect the Titans to rely on Henry. He's leading the NFL in rushing by 100-plus yards. And they just going to give him 25 to 30-plus touches, and he does give you a ton of touchdown upside. Aaron Jones against Cincy, I think, might go a little bit lower owned. I like playing guys that give you some reception upside. Henry has done that this year, but Jones, as we know with this offense, it's Jones, Devonta Adams. They're the main cogs. Occasionally you'll get some random games from Randall Cobb with this 2-touchdown performance a couple weeks ago. But really they're focused on Jones and Adams. And against the Cincy matchup on the road, I think Jones will get a good amount of involvement. He's limited in practice, but I think he should be good to go. And Austin Eckler, just been amazing for the Chargers. I think you can do a Herbert, Eckler, and Keenan Allen stack if you wanted to. They really rely on Eckler not only to get them 15 carries on the ground, but he also gets 5 to 10 targets every single week except for that first week where he got 0. So I really like Eckler against Cleveland's a tough defense, but Eckler's a guy that they will utilize and get the ball in his hands, and he can make the most of it. The mid-range guys that are 6 to 7K, you have Ezekiel Elliott, who's looked different the last couple of weeks. They're giving him the rock, 20-plus carries. Good matchup against the Giants here. Not really making a big impact in the passing game, but that it always has a chance to come because he's always out there on the third down, passing down work because he's very good for blocking. So could easily catch a screen, couple screens, get like 5+ points out of that. Nick Chubb against the Chargers. Chargers' run defense has not been good this year. Chubb, his price tag has plummeted after a couple of not even quiet weeks, because he's like second in the league in rushing, but a couple of weeks where he's not doing much in the receiving department, so his PPR floor isn't the highest. But in this type of matchup, you could see him run for 100+ yards, maybe get into the end zone twice. Swift, after his bad week, seems like every time I'm on Swift, he has a bad week, but maybe this is the week that it turns around. He's going up against a Minnesota team last week. He did get the touches and he did get the targets, but they couldn't really score inside the 10, so he probably lost a couple of touchdown opportunities because they threw a pick, then he had a fumble, did Jared Goff. But this week against Minnesota, this defense has not been very good to running back, so I think Swift could have a big week, and he's always exciting to roster for PPR. The value plays at the bottom. You have James Robinson against Tennessee. Without Chark, they're going to rely on like Robinson to be a more part of their passing game. He's going to get a lot of carries on the ground against this Tennessee defense, which has not been very good. David Williams is going to be the chalk, and I really like him against Las Vegas. We saw how they struggle against running backs. Damon Williams not only is going to get a lot of the rushing and a lot of the carries, he's also going to get you a good amount of targets from like a Justin Fields, who's he can throw deep a little bit. We saw with Mooney, but I would expect them to like rely on Williams, give him some check downs out of the backfield. I wouldn't be shocked if he has like 5 to 8 targets in this one. Fournette is 52 against Miami. If they are without Giovanni Bernard, then Fournette becomes a third down running back, and that's important because he's going to be on the field on the passing down work, which is great for the PPR on DraftKings. And then right now, Joe Mixon didn't practice on Thursdays. We'll have to wait and see if he plays on Sunday, but if he's out, Samaje Perine is going to get a lot of the work. He's only 4K, makes for a great value play on DraftKings. Even on Fanduel, he's cheap. Moving on to wide receiver, Devontae Adams is still the top end, especially on a slate where we don't have Stephon Diggs, you don't have Tyreek Hill. I think if you're looking to pay all the way up, you should just do that with Devontae Adams. He's probably not going to have 2 duds in a row. Hopkins, if you want it to be different in tournaments, because I think a lot of people will be going to Adams, you can go Hopkins. He has yet to have like a monster week, but in the highest total game on the slate, that could definitely happen. We could see Hopkins go for, we haven't seen him go crazy yet, but he could easily go 7, like 110 for 2 touchdowns. And then DJ Moore is now top end wide receiver. He's going up against the Eagles, which got absolutely burned by Tyreek Hill last Sunday for 3 touchdowns. Moore is going to be locked into like 10+ targets from Sam Darnold, seems like every single week. And I just think that if you're looking for a safe, reliable wide receiver, DJ Moore is as safe as they come. The mid-range here, I like Deebo Samuel against Arizona. Compare him with Trey Lance. He's only $7,100. They're going to do whatever they can to get the ball in his hands, especially, now that they have Lance, most likely going to start the whole game. So Samuel, at 71, he's not even that expensive. I think he looks like a great option. Adam Thielen, the Vikings should put up a lot more points than they did last week. They got stuffed by the Browns defense, but they're going up against Detroit, which probably go to giving up 3 touchdowns to Marquise Brown a few weeks ago, and Thielen is always the guy Kirk Cousins looks to inside the red zone. A.J. Brown, now that he's back against Jacksonville, he looks appealing. Price tag is only 65, and Julio Jones didn't practice, so if Julio Jones is out, then you can go back to A.J. Brown getting peppered with targets on the outside. He looks appealing. And Keenan Allen, if you did want to play Herbert, you compare him with Allen. He's only 65. Going to get you a good amount of targets every single week. I think it's a matter of time before he breaks 100 yards. Once again, like last week, he had a bunch of catches, but they went for, under 40 yards. The value plays here, you have Beckham, Devonta Smith, Jamar Chase. You have 2 big play weapons here in Chase and Smith. Smith looked very good last week against the Chiefs, and this is a game that if they get down, they're going to have to throw a lot. And it looks like they're making Smith, hopefully they make Smith the focal piece of their offense and try to get him the ball in as many ways as possible. And Beckham, just because he's not going to get that much ownership this week after he was super popular last weekend, crushed people. But Browns should put up some points against the Chargers defense. This game should be higher scoring. So those type of games, anytime you get a number 1 wide receiver without his running mate in Jarvis Landry, he's going to be appealing. And then at the bottom for some values here, I like Laviska Shenault against Tennessee. He's now going to be the 2nd wide receiver besides Marvin Jones, and that's just a big difference, not having to have 3 guys to really get a lot of targets with Chark, Shenault, and Jones. But now it's a lot easier path for Shenault to do well. against a porous defense in Tennessee. And then I like Chris Kirk against San Fran. He's under $5,000 on DraftKings. He gives you a ton of upside for tournaments. And then Jalen Waddle without Will Fuller. Waddle's they're gonna have to throw a lot in this game, so Waddle could be that weapon that that they look to get involved. So he's only like $4,800. He looks fine. The tight end plays, you have Darren Waller. He's in a tier of his own. You don't have Kelsey, but he's the only guy above $6,000. He's 73 against Chicago. The mid-range, I think a lot of people will be looking to that range. I like Hockenson against Minnesota. After the first couple of weeks, Hockenson looked beast mode, and then that offense came down to earth the last couple of weeks. But this is the week that they could put up some points once again, and Hockenson looks appealing against Minnesota. Goddard, Hurts looks to Goddard inside the red zone. He could have had 2 touchdowns last week. One got called back from a penalty. The Mike Gesicki, he's going to be more involved. I love Tua wasn't really looking at Gesicki's way, but Brissett is looking at Gesicki a lot. And without Fuller in a game that they're going to be down and going to have to throw a lot, I think he makes a lot of sense. Then the value plays, you have Dan Arnold at only $2,900. Should be more involved in the offense now that he's had like a week of practice with his new team. And the Cameron Brate against Miami, we know that Gronk is doubtful. He's not going to play. So you should see Brate start again at tight end and get a good amount of routes run. And Brady does like to look to tight ends, and we've seen Brady throw to Gronk for a couple of touchdowns multiple times this season. So maybe that Cameron Brate is his turn to catch a touchdown or maybe 2. And then the defense plays this week. It's basically like a top end and the value plays here. The mid-range, I'm not looking at them too heavily. But the Patriots against Houston, they are going to be the best defense to pay up for if you have the salary to do so. And if we get like P. Ryan starting in place of Mixon, then I think it's a lot easier to do that. Or at the bottom, I'm looking at like the Washington football team against the Saints. Washington, they were touted to be a very good defense heading into the season. It hasn't really panned out, but their price tag was very high the first 4 weeks, and now week 5 they're down to $2,300. They're mixed in with the bottom barrel defenses, which I think they still shouldn't be. They're at home in this game against Jameis Winston and an offense that has been very erratic after that first game against the Packers. They've been pretty poor last few weeks, so I don't mind taking a shot at $2,300 for the Washington football team. And that is about it for the video. So hopefully you enjoyed. Thank you for watching. Best of luck this Sunday, and I'll see you all next time.